this one I'm going to show you how to create UML with the first IntelliJ IDEA Ultimate version you need to get. After that, you right click on the project and go to diagrams, show diagram. And then you can, like for example, you want to, let's say the models, right? Person. You might want to do the same, right click, diagrams, show diagram. So you get a person diagram, right? You right click, you can actually add or show categories, fields, see that? And constructors, methods. So that's pretty much your UML, right? And if you have a relationships, like for example, user extends from person, they do the extends for you. And if we happen to use it somewhere in the controller, when you create controller, create account, if we see it used, it should have the implementing. That means never used in there. Okay, but that's how to create a UML diagram with IntelliJ. So let's talk about FileChooser. So FileChooser is a dialog that opens up, then you can select the image or file that you want. So it depending on the class name FileChooser. Okay, so this is pretty much, you have to import that. Okay, it's under JavaFX and stage FileChooser. Now let's look at how to use this. You can set the title like open resource file, right? And show open dialog. It's going to show up. So you pretty much has to put in the event of the buttons. When you hit the button, it's called this FileChooser. Then it's show up, right? So that button has to handle that. And what is the stage, like the parent state that's going to show up on, right? So let's test that. Let's close all. Now we have the sign up, right? Create account. So let's put a button. Controls button. And just make it like we have to create the layout for that. Let me add the containers and use the horizontal box and move my button onto that, and then add another button. Okay, we can do the padding. Okay, now I'm going to skip that and just go to say change the name to choose browse, right? Now we are browse. Okay. Okay. So let's create the events for that. Let's go to controller, create account controller, which is we have that. So the button name is, looking for the button right there. On mouse click. So we gotta say maybe open FileChooser. So let's create a method for that. So it's going to create under create account controller. I just do Alt Enter, hover the mouse on that rate. So open FileChooser, what we wanted to do, we say we're going to have to use FileChooser, right? Which is, that's the one. A FileChooser equals to, pretty much what we're going to do is this, right? So I'm going to make it faster by copy this part, paste it here. We need to know the stage where you want to show. We need to get a stage. So I'm going to reorganize our old code here. I'm going to move controller to the controller section and refactor it. And that actually you should refactor the name too. Refactor, and this is what SignController, right? Then you know you refer to sign in. All right, so now we have what we need on that, and we come back to, let's look at sign in. All right, this is a sign in page. When you hit create account, it should link to SignController. It's updated, which is good. On mouse click, go to create account. I'm going to move this spread vertical and look at SignController should have create account, which is right there. That's why we have the word create account show up. Now, when we hit create account, it's supposed to show create account.fxml page, right? So this should show up. Okay, this should show up. So when I hit create account, it's called this method. And this method pretty much just going to load the fxml, try to show that. Okay. And get the stage. And call pretty much set title create account. So this is pretty much just get the primary stage right here. Then we know this is stage that you want to switch to the create account view. That's why we said, hey, set scene to the create account view and show. Right, so this is what we designed last time. So let's see if we test running this. So if it's working, let's see. Nope, there's an error. So what happened? So let's see. It's throwing errors from this line of code. So it's a location is required, no point exception. So create account fxml, we something not right in here. So I just adjust, I just say get class.getClass loader.get resource instead. So let's test again. So is something wrong with this? So instead of doing this, we can do another way. So now I try to chain it to different one. Refer to class.class get resource. Now I see right away that this class, when you try to get resources, there's no such file in this location. That's why no point exception location is required. The path is wrong. So that's why this is not the right way to do. If you copy this and put in here, it's going to work, right? Like if I copy this, or just specify the path to it. Like let's say, let's paste it here first. Now it's just something else now. That error is just fixed. It's just something else. But what I try to say that this is not a proper way. This fxml not supposed to be in the controller. It's supposed to be in the view. Which I'm going to delete this. Okay. And this sample, I'm going to refactor and change the name to view because we want to create a concept MVC, right? So refactor to view. Source view is already exist. Yeah. So, or I can just move them to down there. Let me close all. Move everything down there to view. And then delete this package. All right, so I have that. Now, go back to create account controller, right? SignController. This is not the way we're supposed to do. We're supposed to call the controller of the view to update the view. I mean the code on the view, Java code on the view, to update the view. So we should call the methods. So let's review the method on main. So this is a method that I want to call, right? It could be just a class, it doesn't have to be a main class, it can be any class, which I'm going to say, hey, update the view, right? Update the view. And I want to create account view, right? And update the view, we already have the source code, then this is a source code. When it's trying to locate, it should find the right one, which is that, right? So we pretty much just take this line out. And stage, we can do that, get a stage. That's how we get a view, right? Or, okay, we get a stage. We can pass E. We can pass E to this. And import mouse event. Now we can get the primary stage. And the rest of the code, pretty much just move this code to the view part. Right, so. And then this just call that method instead. Right. Let's see if I can do statics. Then I don't have it to instantiate. Get class can be main dot class. All right. So if I make static, I don't have to instantiate. So main dot update view, right? And I can just pass the text, hey, this is a create account. Like in the case of create account, update to create account. View, other cases just switch them or if else them. And pass E. All right. So now that will do, but we see that something that we have to resolve to in the sign in create account.fxml. We have to create a method for that. We didn't create that yet. So let's create a method for that. Okay. Now this is just sign in. We'll work on this later, right? But it's just system out for now that it works. And let's run the program. There was an error on sample.main because I refactored it, so I just moved them all back to sample and we refactor later. Once you run this, it works, right? Okay.